So, what do you think, you stinky? Is that what S stands for? Oh, hey, look who's here. It's YouTube. They stopped by to say hi. Well, this week on Camera Talk, what does the S stand for? Stinky Scott. Or Superman. So what else is super, mister? Well, this week we're going to be talking about some other pretty super things. And, for your sake, let's see, which one's yours? For your sake, it's the Super Takumar. Super Takumar. You see that? Look but don't touch, mister. And, for daddy, it's the Super Multi-Coated Takumar. That's right. What's the difference? They're both super. Super Takumar, Super Multi-Coated Takumar. Let's find out what the differences are together, shall we? Shall we, mister?
Yes.
Yes. So, come on back.
Here I am, Vietnam. Rain is always coming down.
This is Camera Talk with Dr. Scott. All right, this week we're talking about Takumars. Super Takumars. Or Super Multi-Coated Takumars. Well, I've got two 50mm 1.4s that are legends in their own minds.
Ew!
And in the minds of those who are Takumar fanboys, and there's plenty of them out there, let me tell you. I happen to be one myself. I like the Takumars. I mean, they're smooth, they're creamy, well, it sounds like a bagel. But anyway, excellent vintage lens. Now, what I'm going to be doing is kind of talking a little comparison between the two that I have. As you can see by the lens cover here, they're made by Pentax, Asahi Pentax, and they were developed. Really, what brought these into the market in the first place was at the time, way back in the early '60s, Carl Zeiss was kind of ruling the day with their planar 50mm 1.4, and Pentax decided that we're gonna bring them down. We're going to knock them off the top of the mountain and take their place as #1 in the photography world. And so, what Pentax did is they created a Super Takumar. And what they did was they made it out of 8 elements. And that's the difference really between that version and the rest of them. It's just that extra element that they had in there. And, according to, again, legend, they were successful in knocking Carl Zeiss planar 51.4 off of the mountain. So they were no longer kings of the mountain. Pentax took its place.
Oh shit! Okay. Oh my god!
And that Super Takumar became the most sought after lens. And as rumor has it, or as the legend goes, that with every sale of that particular lens, Pentax was losing money just because it just cost so much to do. So it only lasted 1 year, and this was 1964. And then along came Dr. Scott in 1965. I don't know if that really influenced anything or not, but that's when the Super Takumar came into being. And the Super Takumar from that point on was a 7-element and 6-group configuration. And the first rendition, really the difference between this one and the Super Multi-Coated Takumar, which I'll talk about in a minute, is again, it's the same configuration, but aperture blades, this one only had 6, because back in that part of the early 60s, 6 was a thing. You know, if you look at the you know, the Nikons and Canons and Takumars and all the other ones that were vying for that top position, that was the aperture configuration at the time was 6 blades, pretty common. And being that too, they're also straight.
Well, isn't that special?
Blades, which depends on if you're looking for round bokeh balls or hexagon style bokeh balls, which some people like, some people don't. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Does that ring a bell?
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
So, anyway, this is a Super Takumar 51.4. And again, it was made from 1965 to 1971. So, you know, it had a good run as a Super Takumar. And then along came, you know, the stories of how coatings make the biggest difference, and that's kind of where, again, Carl Zeiss was leading the way in the market with their T asterisk or T star, red star coatings. So again, that added more competition to the market. So so they came out with a super multi-coated Takumar, and this is again a copy of it here. And as I said, it's got the same you know, same configuration as the Super Takumar, 7 elements and 6 groups. But this time it has 8 aperture blades. You know, again, they're curved, so the bokeh is, the bokeh balls, as we call them, are a little friendlier, a little easier on the eye, as they say. You know, they'll go from f1.4 to f16. One other thing they have in common is also back in the day to, you know, add that extra element of
They're magically delicious.
thorium in their lenses. And so the last element, the rear element on the Takumars in this period of time anyway, is thorium doped. So it's not a coating, you know, it's not something they like painted on or anything. It's baked right into the glass. So it's not like it can flake off and, you know, cause cancer and everything that a lot of people are worried about with radioactivity. But one of the, I guess, negative side effects, as some people may say, is over time with the, you know, the decay of the thorium elements, is it yellows the glass, or brown or sand color, you know, define what actual color it is. And some people find that charming. They say, oh, that's nice, you know, get a little off color in there, to which you can correct in post anyway, post editing. But one way to cure it is through, you know, you can watch various YouTube videos about de-yellowing your thorium glass, and use something like this IKEA lamp right here. And I did. I used this. I also used a little flashlight back here somewhere. Ooh, yeah. If you remember this from my Rembrandt video, you know, this is also the same LED that's in here. So again, you can place this over the lens, turn it on, and, you know, in a matter of days, less than a week, you know, the yellowing clears up. And you know, I know a lot of people talk about, oh, it has to be UV such and such, you have to place it in the sun, you have to,
See, now that's some bullshit.
a simple LED seems to work. Don't expect me to you know, explain the science behind all that, how that works. But, I mean, again, you can read all that stuff online. But it works. That's all that matters, right? As long as something works. And so I did. I de-yellowed these. Actually, I probably had 5 or 6 different radioactive lenses up here that I've de-yellowed, and they're all cleared up due to my little handy-dandy flashlight or this IKEA desk lamp. Go figure. So anyway, that's one thing they have in common as well. So that was the aperture blades. Close focus is 45 centimeters. The weight is also different between them. This one 230 grams, this one 250 grams. Again, go figure, maybe it's the, there's extra metal in here somewhere. The ideal to get as sharp as possible is between f4 and f11 is ideal. At 1.4, it's kind of challenging to get a good sharp image because it's such a shallow depth of field, and the corners tend to be a little on the soft side. But, and I say but with a big B, but, because I like big butts.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Portraiture is where these things shine. And portraiture just happens to be my cup of tea. I like taking pictures of people, and as you know through my videos, well, besides my wife, I also like to take pictures of my son Dylan. Aww. And there's Dylan in there before you've seen him, but he just turned 20 months a little while ago, and he's getting harder and harder to nail down for portraiture because he's like a little firecracker all over the place. But back in the day, he was ideal because he used to just sit still and smile for the camera, and away you go. But anyway, the M42s, they're an M42 mount, now that I remind myself. Both of them M42 screw mounts. They were manufactured between, again, not counting the 8 element one, but between 1965 and 1975. So they had a 10-year run. They also had an SMC Takumar, which is super multi-coated like this one, but SMC, the initials, which ran until 1975. So this particular one was just 1971, 1972, where it was actually spelled out, super multi-coated Takumar, and then after that they were SMC Takumars. So with that said, actually let me get you my usual photo of the end of my little kit lens on my Canon M50 that I use to film these videos. So I try to focus in on the script and make sure I'm wide open on this. I like to shoot everything wide open. My cheapy little Chinese M42 to NEX adapters are always jacked off to the side here. And I don't mean jacked off that way, but
That's what she said.
They're always out of whack. So my aperture ring, instead of being on top here, it's usually off to this side or off to this side. Oh well, I adjust. I'm an adjuster. So anyway, let me I said they're very quick to focus too. They're super, not just super Takumar, but they're super. 1, 2, 3. All right. Again, they're excellent, quality. Let me get to f4 to show you, because it says it's supposed to be the best, starting at f4. And well, I don't have to really change any. 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's the Super Takumar, and of course, as usual, I'll show you some photos of Dylan right here. And now that we're switching it up, let me get the super multi-coated Takumar on here and make sure it is wide open. And let me again try to focus in on the end of the nameplate. All right, there we go. 1, 2, 3. And see what I said? Now the aperture side ring is on this side instead of this side. Those darn Chinese sneaky bastards.
Ancient Chinese secret.
Always trying to mess me up with things. Hold on, let me change so that I'm nice and bright, the same exposure. Alright, let me kind of focus in on this as best I can. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so that was at f4. So f1.4 and f4. Just to show you what it can do. So that was that, and here's some photos of Dylan. All right, so that was the 50mm 1.4 Super Takumar and Super Multi-Coated Takumar side by side. Actually, let me show you some pictures of them side by side and see if you can kind of identify which one is which. And I'll let you know at the end of the video. All right, so we'll find out what that is in a little bit. Anyway, what else I want to talk about? I think that's all the Takumar information I wanted to give you. Now, of course, you know, you can't go wrong. Are these recommended? Yes.
9 doctors out of 10 doctors probably agree.
Are they expensive? More expensive than when I bought them. If you look on eBay now, they're a little pricier. But are they worth it? Sure. Takumars are great quality. You know, I've got 55, I've got 35, got the 50s. I'd like to have that 85, but they're even pricier than these, so maybe not so much. But could I recommend these? Yes, very much so. Again, they add a great extra little something with character into your photography. So again, if you want that vintage look, you want something with character, something that's not so clinical, not so razor sharp as today's lenses tend to be, then the Takumar family. There's plenty of them out there. They're all over the internet, so you can pick one up. Probably at your local camera shop. If they've got used equipment, they probably got a Takumar laying around somewhere. I'd recommend at least checking them out. If you're not going to just outright purchase one, then you know, rent one or give it a test drive and see how much you like it. So anyway, the only other things I want to give you a quick plug for is my photo editing software that I use is Luminar. Luminar AI, and well, first Luminar 4, Luminar AI, and now Luminar Neo is coming out. You know, again, they're decent enough standalone software products that you know, I can recommend them. It's all I use. I don't use any Lightroom or Photoshop or anything else, but it does plug in and plays well with Lightroom and Photoshop. So you can do a combination of all these types of things, but I don't edit my stuff that much that I need to have that much different software out there. So I pretty much just go with Luminar. And besides all the bells and whistles and cool things that it can do, you know, just a few sliders compared to 5 or 6 or 10 sliders on the others. You know, it's just a great workflow. It's easy. and it's relatively economical. You know, 50, 60, 70 bucks, depends on what time of year you buy them in. If you click below, you'll get a $10 discount, which, hey, why not? You know, if it's only 65 bucks, then it's 55 bucks for you, just for you, because Dr. Scott sent you there, right? Plus, I get a little kickback from that too. Yeah! But anyway, that was my little plug for Luminar. What else can I say? Well, how about you support my channel and subscribe? That's right. Call up your brother right now, or your sister. Or if you don't have a brother or sister, why not your parents? Tell them to subscribe. That's right, because the more the merrier. The more I'm exposed out there, the more people it'll show up on their algorithm feed, as they call it, and you'll get them too to also subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Not enough people give enough thumbs up in the world, and why I do it is because I want to share with you the thumbs up girls. All right, aren't they cute? So anyway, I think that was finally it. If you haven't got your vaccination, get one. If you haven't got a booster, get one. Unless you've had your last shots within 6 months, and then a booster is a waste of your time. But get a booster if you're beyond 6 months, because your body's already, you know, losing its immunity against COVID and its little gang of gangsters out there that are looking to kick your ass. Don't let it happen. So, little advice from Dr. Scott. Get your vaccine. Don't be an anti-vaxxer. And last but not least, hey, have yourself a nice day. Because remember, here at Camera Talk with Dr. Scott, what do we say? You belong here. That's right. Where do you belong? At Modesty Photography, where we're here to teach you a thing or two about photography, things you may not have known before, for beginners and novice types. You know, maybe some experts might watch this and then pick it apart and say, oh, you suck, you don't know what you're talking about. Hey, that's your opinion. Everybody's entitled to one. But why not come back next week and we'll do it all again, right? So, with that said, I think that was all I've got for you, yeah? How about you? My wife, isn't she pretty? Anyhow, have a nice day, have a nice weekend, and we'll see you in the next episode. All right, so bye-bye.
Here I am, Vietnam. Rain is always